Hello everyone, this is Connie Thor for week 3 discussion assignment. For this week, we talked about formative and summative assessments. And if I look down a lot, I have notes. So the first thing was to a reflection of what I learned from this video. So I learned quite a bit from this video about formative and summative. Also learned the different ways and how to implement them in the classroom. And and it was really actually great to see it because I always thought formative assessment was more like, oh, like smaller tests, and then some of it was like the bigger tests. But then like the videos really show that it could be different forms of tests, or it could be just different ways of checking for understanding from the students, while some of them are the bigger tests or bigger presentations and stuff like that. So it was really great to see how different they were and how they were implemented in the classrooms that are being used. And so how I go about these is when I'm doing formative assessments, I want to, so it's used for the instruction of the lesson or the unit you're doing. So I want to check for understanding by asking verbal questions whenever we're doing the lesson and asking just essential questions to the student. If we're doing something in math, really dissect the math and be like, why is that number relevant to this problem? Or can someone help tell me what's going on in this problem? So just really dissecting what's in the lesson. And then for summative, it was how to implement that is I just want to be able to have them show me their work. It's summative is all graded um assignments and tests or whatever it is. But for me, I feel like when you do summative, not a lot of students are a great test taker, and that's a barrier to it. So then for just the student must be able to show their work, show the thought process of what they thought it might be, and they'll still get some form of credit. It's not going to be full credit as they did not get the full answer and the correct answer. However, they'll get credit for showing their work and why they thought it was the answer they thought, or they didn't know how. At least they tried by showing me some work and their thought process of what they might be, but then they didn't get it. So then, with that being said, the barriers. I have two barriers for each, and for formative, it's students not engaging. So you can't really tell where the students are at if they're actually gaining any gaining any information from everything you taught them or not. So the two unique ways that I wanted to do formative was to give a pretest and, like I said, the verbal questions mid-unit or a lesson. And that's really hard when students don't engage. The pretest students will engage because they have to engage. It's a pretest, a test beforehand of the lesson. And then the verbal one is where students who doesn't know might not engage. They don't want to seem like I don't know anything. I don't want to be like stupid looking in front of my peers, so I'm not going to say anything. So that's the really hard part is student not engaging in that. You could pick sticks. You could pick on students don't know, but what are the chances of them of engaging on their own? So that's a really hard part for it. And I'm just thinking like a barrier that could go about it is just to keep going at them. Don't let them feel like it's okay for them to not engage. Okay. So like I said, keep picking at them and being like, hey, can you tell me this? Okay, so you know that they don't understand it. Go on about it. Can you tell me what about it? Asking questions that are relevant to that one question and then leading them towards that answer. Because if they listened and they did all the work, I'm pretty sure they would get to it. They just probably didn't have that confidence to. And then the other one for formative was to feel the need to continuously data track. And it's really time consuming on the teacher's end. I understand that. And you always feel like, oh my goodness, like if I have to do this, then I have to make sure I write it in. But it's anyway, I will go about overcoming this is that we're planning things anyways. We have to see what works for student, what don't work. So you might as well have the information of the students you know that knows it and the students you don't, so you get an overall picture. If majority of your class already knows the unit, you could go ahead and move on to a area where you think, okay, this is the information that I could teach them. I could do a small review and then I could go on. I don't have to reteach this lesson. as much if majority of the class already understands. And then during the review, you could be teaching it a little bit for those who hasn't reached there yet. And then for another one for a summative is students, they don't for summative is that students don't test well. So oh yeah, so moving on to summative. So summative is that students don't test well. I noticed that a lot of students, they do really good in class. They can give you all these answers, and then when they take the state test or they take your test, they just don't do it. And you're just like, I don't get it. You are getting all the right answers in class. You were showing me everything, but how come? And they just don't test well. They don't that pressure on them, and they feel like they just got to get through this, and they don't take in all the information. So that is one thing. And a way to really do that is to let them know, hey, you can still get points for this. Remember, this is a big test, but this is something that I want to see where you are going. So I need to see if I need to go back and review with you. If you already know that you know this, just show me that you know it. You don't have to think of it as it's a big graded test. It's something to it's a progress report for them, for the teachers, so we know, okay, they actually are getting this. So like taking it, not making the test such a big deal when it is. And another for summative is students not remembering units. So then because they can't remember the units, they don't want to take the test, or they do horrible in tests, and they become really demoted individuals, and they're not happy about it. They'll be like, oh, I'm not good at this. And before they're already taking the test, oh, I already know I'm gonna fail. So that's just one barrier about it, is that students get really down about it. And something about this is, like I said, don't make the test. It's a big deal, but don't make it seem like such a big deal. Let them know that their work is more important than the answer. The answer is important, but the way they're getting to the answer is more important. Because even if they don't reach the answer and they're showing you all the work and the thought process, you as teachers, we can see what their mindset is. Why did they think that way? What route did they use? And everything. So it's really helpful for us to tell them it's how you show me it's done, rather than just the answer there. Because if the answer is just there, I don't know what you did to get to that answer. So letting them know that it's more on how they got there than what's the answer. So just making it, letting them know that show me your work. So that's my way of overcoming those barriers for formative and summative assessments. And thank you for watching.